Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me now. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say nothing at all. Sometimes you gotta just stand still, silent, calm, while the storm's raging around you. While the voices are loud, the accusations are flying, you don't move, you don't speak, you trust. Because here's the truth, God sees it all. Every word whispered behind your back, every plan plotted in secret, He hears what you don't hear, He sees what you don't see. And when you choose silence, when you hold your peace, you hand the fight over to Him. And believe me, He fights better than you ever could. You see, the world tells you, fight back, defend yourself, make them hear you. But the Spirit of God says, be still, know that I am God. It takes more strength to stay silent in injustice than it does to shout back. It takes more courage to trust God's hands than to throw your own punches. Because when you stay silent, you're not giving up. You're giving it up to the only one who can truly settle the score. You are saying, Lord, this is yours. I don't need to make them understand. I don't need to prove my worth. You will prove it in your time. There's a reason why battles fought by God are so final, so undeniable. When He fights for you, nobody can question the victory. Nobody can take credit for it. No one can say it was luck or timing. They'll know it was the hand of God. A woman who stays silent, who holds her peace, she is not weak. She is dangerous. She is powerful beyond measure because her weapon is not her tongue, it's her faith. Her stillness becomes her strength. Her quietness shakes mountains. And when God rises up for her, when He says enough, when He says, this is my daughter, every force that tried to bring her down will have no choice but to bow. No word spoken against her will stand. No lie will prosper. No plan formed in the dark will see the light of success. So don't you think for a second that staying silent is losing. No, no. Staying silent is letting God do what only God can do. Fight and win the battles you can't even see. Stay strong, stay still, stay faithful. Because when God fights for you, the whole world knows. You were never alone. Silence is not weakness, it's strength under control. True strength is not always loud, and it is never desperate. It doesn't always come through in a raised voice or a show of force. Sometimes real strength is the discipline to hold your words, the patience to sit still when everything inside you is urging you to react. It takes far more courage to stay silent in the face of disrespect, betrayal, or injustice than it does to lash out. Anyone can speak in anger. Anyone can defend themselves out of pride. But it takes someone deeply rooted, someone secure in who they are and whose they are, to stay silent and trust that they don't have to prove anything to anyone. Silence under control is a weapon. It is choosing to speak only when it's necessary, and even then with wisdom, not with rage. It's the art of knowing that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every attack deserves your energy. People often confuse silence with surrender, but real silence, the kind that is born from faith and inner peace, is an act of war. It is saying, I know who I am, and nothing you say or do can change that. It's a refusal to be pulled into petty fights that would only diminish your dignity. A woman who can stay silent when falsely accused, misunderstood, or mistreated shows a power that words can never match. She is not weak, she is wise. It can feel lonely when you are the only one who knows the truth, when it seems like no one is standing up for you or even noticing your struggle. The temptation to speak out, to defend yourself, to make others see the wrong that has been done to you is strong. But the truth is, whether people see it or not, doesn't change the fact that God already knows. His awareness is complete, His justice is sure, and His timing is always right. The world measures fairness by what is visible, by what can be proven and shouted from rooftops. God measures it by what he knows in the depths of every heart. In moments when you feel invisible, when the weight of being misunderstood crushes your spirit, remember that the one who matters most has seen everything. He holds every tear, he records every wrong, and he promises to repay with perfect balance. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. God's justice is not like man's justice, slow and partial. It is whole, it is holy, and it is guaranteed. Even when the world claps for your enemies or turns its back on your pain, heaven remains a witness. And in the end, God's witness is the only one that counts. Trusting God means surrendering the need to defend yourself. It means choosing faith over pride and patience over pain. It is not about giving up or accepting defeat. It is about understanding that your worth is not determined by public opinion, and your vindication does not have to come from human hands. When you truly trust God, you let go of the desperate need to set the record straight, to convince others of your side of the story, or to fight for your reputation. You know that God is your defender, your protector, and your judge. Surrendering the need to defend yourself is one of the hardest acts of faith. Everything in your human nature wants to fight back, to explain, to argue, to be heard and validated. But faith calls you to a different response. Faith calls you to step back and say, God, you know the truth, you see the heart. You will fight for me in ways that I cannot fight for myself. It is a powerful declaration that you trust his justice more than you trust your own ability to control the situation. When you surrender, you don't lose your voice, you elevate it. You lift your struggle to a higher court where bias and lies cannot prevail. You put your trust in the one who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be bribed, who sees not only actions but also intentions. Trusting God frees you from carrying the heavy burden of self-defense. It allows you to walk in peace even when falsely accused, to hold your head high even when misunderstood, to stay silent even when everything inside you is screaming to speak. It is not weakness to trust God with your battles. It is a strength that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. It is confidence that even in silence, you are never alone. Battles fought by God are won without your words. They are won in the unseen places, in the quiet moments, when you choose faith over fear, when you choose patience over panic. God does not need your voice to secure your victory. He needs your trust. Your words may defend you for a moment, but his power defends you for eternity. When you hold your peace and let him fight, the outcome is beyond anything you could have achieved with your own strength or argument. It is not through clever speech or emotional pleas that the deepest battles are won. It is through the silent surrender to his will and the unwavering belief that he is working even when you cannot see it. When God steps into the battle, he brings a justice that words could never demand. He moves hearts, changes minds, shifts circumstances in ways you could never orchestrate. He reveals truth in his time and exposes lies when it serves his greater purpose. You don't have to rush in to explain, to shout, to prove. God's presence speaks louder than any defense you could offer. His victories are complete, undeniable, and leave no room for doubt. Many times, speaking too soon or acting too quickly can delay the very victory God is preparing for you. Silence, when it is born out of trust, is not inactivity, it is spiritual warfare. It is standing firm while God fights battles beyond your reach. It is allowing his timing to unfold perfectly without the interference of human hands. In the stillness, God's power is magnified. In the silence, his justice roars. The battles he fights are won without chaos, without confusion, and without compromise. Your words are not the weapon, your faith is. And when he fights for you, victory is certain and it is complete. A quiet spirit often speaks louder than anger. There is a deep and commanding power in someone who can remain calm when everything around them invites chaos. Anger shouts to be heard, demanding attention, seeking to overpower. But a quiet spirit draws attention in a different way. It demands respect without ever raising its voice. It shows a strength that cannot be shaken, a confidence that is not easily rattled. While anger may win a moment, a quiet spirit wins hearts, wins trust, and wins battles that anger could never touch. A person filled with anger can be predictable, easily provoked, and quickly dismissed. But a person with a quiet spirit carries mystery, depth, and influence. Their calmness unsettles the enemy more than shouting ever could. Their peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of an unshakable foundation. It tells the world, I am not moved by your chaos. I am anchored in something greater. A quiet spirit doesn't mean passive acceptance of wrong. It means choosing a response that is deliberate, controlled, and wise. It means understanding that your dignity is more valuable than your pride, and your peace is worth more than being momentarily right. When you answer anger with silence, you don't lose your voice. You preserve your strength. When you refuse to react, you maintain the power to act when it truly matters. A quiet spirit reflects trust not only in yourself, but in the God who fights for you. It trusts that you don't have to match the noise of the world to be victorious. The loudest statement you can sometimes make is no statement at all. Your calmness in the fire speaks volumes about your character, about your God, and about the destiny that lies ahead of you, untouched by the rage of others. Patience allows God to reveal his perfect justice. It creates the space for his timing, his wisdom, and his purpose to unfold without interference. When you rush to seek your own justice, you often settle for something partial, something temporary. But when you are patient, you invite God to work in ways that go beyond your immediate understanding. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active trust. It is standing firm with the belief that God sees, God knows, and God will act in the exact way and at the exact time that will bring the greatest good. Waiting is hard because it feels like nothing is happening. It feels like the wrongdoers are winning, like the truth is being buried, like your pain is being ignored. But patience trusts that the silence is not abandonment. It is preparation. It is God aligning everything behind the scenes so that when he moves, there is no mistake that it was his hand that did it. You think that by controlling every detail, you can guarantee a favorable result, but real strength is found in surrender. It is in the moment you release your grip that you allow God's hands to move freely in your life. Letting go is not giving up. It is an act of profound faith. It is saying, I trust that you can do better with this than I ever could. When you insist on handling things yourself, you limit the possibilities to your own strength, your own wisdom, your own narrow perspective. But when you step back and allow God to work, you open the door to the supernatural. You invite divine intervention, creativity beyond your imagination, and outcomes you never could have orchestrated on your own. Letting go is not weakness. It is a declaration that you believe in a power greater than your own. The process of letting go is often uncomfortable because it requires humility. It forces you to admit that you are not in control, that you don't have all the answers, and that you need help. But that admission is where real growth begins. It is where peace starts to flow. It is where anxiety loses its grip. You trade striving for stillness, worry for worship, fear for faith. When you let go, you allow God to heal what you can't fix, to change hearts you cannot touch, and to open doors that you cannot see. You step out of the way and trust that his plan is bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you could have built on your own. There is freedom in that surrender and unstoppable power in that trust. The silent woman shows true confidence in God's plan. She understands that her life is not ruled by the chaos of the moment or the opinions of others, but by the steady hand of a sovereign God. Her silence is not born out of fear or helplessness. It is born out of trust. It is a powerful statement that she does not have to fight for herself because she knows God is already fighting for her. She does not rush to explain, to justify, or to prove her worth. Her value is already secured in the eyes of the one who created her. A woman who can remain silent in the face of misunderstanding or mistreatment shows a depth of faith that few ever reach. She is confident that the same God who brought her this far will not leave her now. He does not need to shout to be seen, nor does she need to argue to be heard. Her strength is in knowing that her story is still being written by the one who holds the pen. She trusts that even when others misjudge her, God knows the truth, and in His perfect timing, He will bring that truth to light. Silence in her life is not passive. It is an active, deliberate choice to place her hope not in people, but in God. It is a reflection of her inner peace and her unshakable faith that no injustice will go unnoticed and no pain will be wasted. Every tear she sheds in silence is caught by God's hand, and every silent prayer is heard by His heart. Her silence is strength, it is dignity, and it is a powerful testimony that her confidence does not rest in what she can control, but in the certainty that God's plan for her life is good and unstoppable. God's timing brings greater victory than instant retaliation. In moments of injustice, it's natural to want to act, to lash out and defend yourself, to strike back against those who hurt you. But instant retaliation, born out of anger or frustration, rarely brings lasting peace. It may win the moment, but it does not guarantee the true, lasting victory that your soul craves. God's timing, however, is different. His victory is complete and unshakable, not just a temporary solution to a present hurt. When you choose to wait on God instead of reacting immediately, you open the door for Him to work in ways that go beyond your own capabilities. His timing is never rushed, nor is it delayed. It is perfectly aligned with what is best for you and for the greater good. When you let go and trust that God will act on your behalf, you allow Him to orchestrate a resolution that is not only just, but also restorative. Instant retaliation might settle your emotions in the moment, but God's timing brings healing to your heart, transformation to the situation, and a sense of peace that retaliation could never provide. God's victory doesn't just address the surface problem. It restores, it redeems, and it raises you to a higher place. It transforms the situation for your good and His glory. In the waiting, your faith is deepened, your character is refined, and your trust in God grows stronger. God knows what you cannot see. He knows the hearts of those involved, the hidden motives, and the ultimate outcome. His timing doesn't just fix what's broken, it makes things better than they ever were before. When He moves, it's never just for a moment, it's for eternity. Your silence invites divine intervention instead of human reaction. When faced with conflict, mistreatment, or injustice, the natural response is often to react, to defend yourself, to argue, or to take matters into your own hands. But the power of silence lies in its ability to open the door for God to step in, where human reaction would only complicate the situation. Silence is not weakness, nor is it passivity. It is a powerful act of trust, a way of saying, I believe that God will move on my behalf in ways I cannot even imagine. When you choose silence, you are not letting the world walk all over you. You are positioning yourself for something greater than what human action could accomplish. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you allow space for God to move and bring about His perfect will. Divine intervention works differently than human reactions. Where humans may seek immediate satisfaction, God's intervention brings lasting resolution, healing, and transformation. His ways are higher and His timing is perfect. By remaining silent, you acknowledge that God's power is greater than your own. Silence allows God to fight battles you cannot win on your own. It frees you from the need to control outcomes or to justify yourself. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, you surrender to his sovereignty, trusting that he will bring about the right result. While humans react out of emotion or personal interest, divine intervention works with eternal perspective, always leading to what is best for you and for his greater purpose. In moments of tension, your silence becomes a declaration of faith. It invites God's intervention, where human reactions would only add noise and confusion. Silence is not a void, it is the space where miracles happen. In the end, the true power lies not in the noise we make or the battles we fight with our own hands, but in the quiet trust we place in God's perfect plan. When we choose silence, we are not passive, we are active in our faith, allowing God to fight for us in ways that human action could never accomplish. Each moment of patience, each choice to trust his timing, invites divine intervention that far exceeds any human retaliation. By surrendering our need to defend ourselves, we open the door for God's justice to unfold perfectly, bringing greater victory than any immediate reaction could. A quiet spirit reflects the deepest confidence in God's sovereignty, and in that silence we find strength, peace, and the assurance that we are never alone in our struggles. Letting go and letting God work is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of unshakable faith in a power far greater than our own. In the stillness, God moves, and in his movement, we find our true victory.